Okay, first off, thank you for coming on and talking with me about How to Get Away with Murder, of course, and then your other projects. And I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, likewise.
I kind of like to start off with like at the beginning, like growing up and how you got into acting and who was like your biggest inspiration and like personal or maybe someone you saw on screen.
Yeah. Um, well, I started out acting, doing community theater in Minneapolis, and which is where I grew up. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And honestly, the first person that I saw act that I was super inspired by was my sister. We were
Mm.
doing a production of a play called Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And she played this role where every night she would give this monologue that would make people like cry and just like stand to their feet and give her like a standing ovation. And I was so moved by her work as like a 6-year old that I was like, I want to do that. And it was sort of I sort of followed my sister wherever she went because she's 4 years older than me. So like if she did horseback riding, I did horseback riding. She did ice skating, I did ice skating. So I theater was the one place that I landed and stayed. And it definitely I was like a very shy kid, so it got me out of my shell in a lot of ways, but I think I just really loved disappearing into a story and telling stories. And I just sort of kept doing theater, I mean, all through middle school, high school, all the school productions, community theater, and then went to University of Michigan and majored in musical theater, went to do Broadway, did theater in New York, and then, now I'm in LA doing TV and film.
Did your sister stick with
No, no,
performing or no?
no. Just me.
You beat her out. I love that you're from Minnesota because I'm from Sioux City, Iowa, and I just moved to Lincoln, Nebraska like a year ago, so kind of the
Okay,
same
nice.
area. And do you have like a preference, like the live theater or like the audience right in front of you, or do you like the TV with just like the crew and waiting for the audience to watch? Like,
Yeah, I like them both. I think the cool thing about theater, like you said, is the live feedback. Um, that is so I feed off of that. I think that's why I did theater for so long. I love the instant gratification and the energy exchange that you get from having an audience there. If something is making them happy, you see them
mhm.
smiling, laughing. If you're moving them to tears, you get to see that too. It's just also just like you can feel the energy in the room. Um, and then TV and film is like, I mean, there's so much there. You have different levels of control, right? Because you have close-ups, and you don't have to express yourself just in one way to like a large room of people. It's like, okay, this is a close-up. I can
Yeah, yeah.
portray a certain level of emotion in a way that I could never do on a stage. So it just gives you more variety and depth, and it kind of allows you a certain level of intimacy that I don't think most theater allows you to have.
And some of the play or the Broadway shows in New York were Rent and Sister Act and
American Idiot was my
American
first one in
Idiot.
New
Yeah.
York. Yeah. Yeah, all those. Those were the three.
Any like stories from I feel like Rent is like my favorite musical, but like is there any stories from Rent or anything from those
Uh,
shows?
stories from Rent. I would say, I mean, I was definitely very nervous to do it. We actually did, so it had been running on Broadway for, I believe, over a decade, and then it closed. And then um Michael, the original director, Michael Moore, decided he wanted to put it back up again. And it was with a much younger cast. I was a part of that cast. And we did an off-Broadway revival of it, at a
Hmm.
place called New World Stages, and I would play Joanne, and I would say
Ah,
the thing that was really hard for me was Michael had a vision like of how it had been done. Like he had been it was so established in his mind, and he's very much a technician. And so I think if you didn't have a point of view, he was going to tell you what to do in a way that was like, no, just do this. And it was my first time like having a lead. Before that, I had only understudied. And I think I realized Billy Porter actually assistant directed the production, and he pulled me aside and he was like,
Oh,
look, I can see you're really struggling. And I was like, he just won't let me do what I want to do. And I was like, you have to show him. He was like, you have to show him. You can't ask for permission. Michael respects like people who just do it. And I just did it what I wanted to do that was different from what had been done before. And he was like, okay. And then from
yeah.
that point on, he just kind of let me do my own thing. But it took, I think I was so intimidated by him and, his legacy and also just the process that I was a little bit scared. But it just taught me like, you have to be brave and take those risks and take those chances. But that show taught me early on that very important lesson. So, grateful to Michael and to Billy and to that show for that.
And Joanne's like one of the like probably the funnest role probably like in
Yeah,
the
I
character.
loved
And
it.
uh
Yeah.
my best friend Sarah and I met in high school over Rent. Like she
Mhm.
let me borrow her DVD or whatever. I never saw it. So then we started talking and hanging out, and a couple years ago we got matching tattoos, the 525,600.
Oh wow.
And I actually um Anthony Rapp, I messaged him on Twitter, the original Mark and in the
Hmm.
movie and stuff, and I told him the story and he like wrote it out in his handwriting and sent it over, so we have like his handwriting of the numbers.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So I was like excited when I saw you were in Rent and stuff, and I
Yeah,
just
they
wanted
all
to
came
ask you
and
real
saw the
quick.
production, which was really cool
Oh
for
shit.
for me too. Like I grew up obviously on that musical. I mean, me and my sister used to sing Take Me or Leave Me with fake microphones as like water bottles in our bedroom.
uh,
So to get that opportunity was amazing. And I also actually played Joanne. Um Jeff, what is his name? Jeff, the producer. Um, when Jonathan passed, he gave the rights to Jeff, and I can't remember Jeff's last name, but he gave us at the University of Michigan the like rights to do it we were the first university or the first even like
uh,
regional anything to do it. So I played Joanne at Michigan because Jeff went to Michigan, the original producer of Rent. And then I've also like since become very good friends with Tracy Toms. So that's kind of
ah,
we've worked in LA together on a production here. And she's just become like a very, very good friend.
oh,
So
oh,
life is funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
going back to Michigan and all that.
Yeah.
And then a couple other roles before we get to Run the World and the new episode that came out today. I was wondering if you could talk about Blair Witch a little bit and kind of like tackling such a like iconic movie, like found footage and like coming back or being in like the remake and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very sensitive to horror, honestly.
Ah,
And when I audition, like in the sense that I just get scared. So it was an interesting process because it definitely demystified the whole horror film genre for me. Like you realize it's obviously just all smoke and mirrors. However, we did shoot it um in a city about an hour and a half outside of Vancouver called Langley in the middle of the redwoods. And it was
oh,
very much middle of the night walking, traipsing through the forest. So the ambiance was there for you. Like we had so many night shoots where we were up till 4 a.m. in the middle of the woods. Like, and obviously there's a crew there, and so that makes it a little bit easier. But it was there for us.
ah,
Um, when I auditioned for the role, I didn't even know what I was auditioning for. They were very secretive about it. It was called The Woods, and yeah, the scene I tested with when I went to test at Lionsgate was the scene that made it in. It was in the film. It's like the scene where there's something coming out of my foot, and I'm
oh,
like
yeah.
sick, and I'm like I don't. Brandon's character sees it, and the audience sees it, but I don't see it. That made it in. That's kind of the role
Oh,
that's kind of the scene that got me the part. I remember Adam was like, I chose you because you made it funny
oh,
and no one else put humor in it. And he's like, that's why we picked you because you had a sense of humor about things. And it's funny because horror and comedy now are getting meshed together. more often. But at the time, I don't think, there was a ton of that.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of found that in it, but it was cool. I mean, even when we were filming, it was like we weren't allowed to say the word Blair Witch. We had to say something else. I forget the code word. It was something so strange, because the crew didn't know what we were filming,
Oh,
even once we were there. And of course, we had NDAs that we couldn't disclose what we filmed, and it took like 2.5 years for the movie to come out. So that was a big secret. They're like, you can't tell anyone, like literally anyone. So that was probably one of the hardest secrets
well,
I've ever had to
yeah.
keep. Um, and yeah, the experience was really cool. I mean, it was my first film, and it happened to be like a huge, like you said, like a cult following film and a cult classic film. So it was amazing to work on.
Just staying up till 4 and like running through the woods and yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was
probably get
wild.
to you like and then of course, oh, I wanted to ask some like current about the White House and
Oh
Juneteenth
yeah.
and before we get into Run the World, like how was that and getting asked to come and the first kind of celebration I think at the White House I think wasn't for
Yeah, so we just went to the White House. Biden and Kamala, well, Biden signed into law the making Juneteenth a federal holiday in 2021. And so just this past weekend, we were invited to go to the White House as a part of Starz Take the Lead initiative. Around the World this is the network, the show that my show is on. No, Starz is the network that my show Run the World is on. There it is.
ah
And they have a relationship with Kamala and with Biden, and so I guess our show also. I mean, our Starz network just represents diversity across the board, and so I think they felt like it was a really good match. So we were invited, which we were. It was so exciting. It was just like a historical moment to be there for the first ever Juneteenth celebration. They even had Opal Lee come and speak, and she was an advocate, has been an advocate for most of her life. She's like 96 now, to make Juneteenth a federal holiday and to recognize it. And she got up and spoke, and for her to be alive, to have
I
survived to
see
see her advocacy work, and her activism recognized and come to fruition was really cool. And Jennifer Hudson performed, and
oh,
Dr. McDonald performed, and Step Africa performed, and the president spoke, and he gave some really beautiful um, remarks, and it was really electric. And of course, it was amazing to be at the White House and be invited to the White House. I mean, none of us had ever been, so it was really special.
yeah, I saw all the pictures you and Amber and everyone posted, and it looked really amazing. And I was excited to ask you about it.
Yeah, it was just as amazing as the pictures looked.
Ah, and then of course, Run the World on Stars. And I was wondering if you could talk like come like the audition and like landing the role and like forming the friendship and everything. Because I feel like when I first started it, like the first episode, you could kind of like really feel their friendship and the chemistry and everything. And I feel like
Mhm.
they did a really good job with everyone. And I was wondering if you could talk about meeting everyone for the first time.
Yeah. So, man, this started back pre-pandemic,
Uh,
2019.
ah,
Um, I remember my first test. I actually tested for my role that I have now, which is Sondi, and also Ella, which is no longer a role on the show. But
mm,
um, I tested for both parts, and I remember I met Brescia and Amber at the audition, and it was just like instant chemistry. They already knew each other they had worked together, and they've been in LA way longer than I have. So
mm,
they were familiar with each other and were friends. But like, I remember we were sort of sitting in Kim's back room, and she had to keep coming back there and being like, guys, like, you're being too loud. Because we were just laughing and having fun and talking. And we were just like, we just instantly liked each other. I don't know. I think it just showed up on camera, and, here we are. We've also collectively shared a lot of really big life moments together. I mean, obviously filming a TV show during the COVID-19 pandemic is, and we were one of the first productions in New York um, to go. Yeah,
Hmm.
when people were like wheeling freezers with bodies onto the corner, we were filming a TV show, not to be too macabre, but that is what happened. Um, and we also were one of the only TV shows that didn't get shut down. So we really followed protocol. We really, you know, we really hunkered down and made sure we could get it done. But then aside from, season two, we both, Brescia and I both got married. We went to each other's
Oh.
weddings. We had, there was a funeral that, happened that we all went to support each other. And, now we're doing things like going to the White House together,
All
and
right.
and
Just
we go to each other's, kids' birthday parties. And I mean,
uh,
we've spent a lot of really big life moments together since 2019. So we've just gotten to be really, really close and really good friends. And I hope we get to do it again. I don't think I can say I've ever had this much fun with the
mm,
cast or been as close as I am to these two girls.
yeah, I could really feel it from on the first episode. Like at first I was like, oh, it's gonna take a couple episodes to get familiar with everyone, or but like they did a really good job. Like the writing and the jokes all land, and the intensity with certain storylines, and yeah, they did a really good job with it.
Thank you.
And then, do you ever just sit and think about like COVID as a thing? Like that was crazy. Like sometimes I just think like, how did we like? Oh God.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. I'm still so desperate for us all to like economically recover from it, mentally recover from it. It's
Ah,
been wild. And I also often think about how something like that could come back around and happen again in a
oh
second. Like
God.
it wouldn't be
No.
that crazy. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but
No.
now that we've experienced it once, I'm kind of like,
Uh,
hope that doesn't happen again in my lifetime.
right. And then you play Sondi Hill, like you mentioned. Was there anything that you brought to Sondi that wasn't like described as her character, or anything you thought needed to be a part of her?
Hmm. I think season one, you were just establishing a character. So I very much wanted to like do what they wanted and how they envisioned it. I think
Mm,
season two has been a bit more collaborative, and I definitely got to have more of a voice in terms of where I wanted my storyline to go. And just even from like the close to
mm,
storyline to whatever, I definitely have had more inputs since season one, which I've really enjoyed. Um, and I think it's reflected pretty well in what actually happens on the show. So I was very grateful that my vision was aligned with Rochelle, our season two showrunner. She's brilliant, and she really was very collaborative and very respectful of like our thoughts and our ideas. And even if they didn't exactly align, she always tried to find some kind of compromise. So,
mm.
um, that's one of the benefits of being on a show for more than one season. So few shows make it past one season these days. So, um, yeah, season two definitely I had more of a voice in everything.
The outfits. Oh my God. Everyone's outfits are Was there any favorite moments from season one, like the university finding out with Matthew, or
Season one, oh my God, I can't even remember season one so well. I think the therapy episodes
the
are always my
therapy up?
favorite.
Yeah, that one was
Yeah, I
good.
just think
Yeah.
they're so, and Rosie O'Donnell was our season one
Oh,
therapist, and it was amazing to work with her. She's
yeah. I was
incredible.
shocked when I was like, oh, she's back. She hasn't been in. I haven't seen her in anything in our TikTok, but not
Oh, okay,
in act.
really?
Yeah, I feel like she's been away from acting for a while since.
I think she's on something because she couldn't come back for season two because she was filming something. So maybe
Oh,
it's something
okay.
that's coming out. But we got Cree Summers this season two, and that episode is actually out right now. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
just came
It,
out, I think, at midnight.
I almost fell off the
Yeah, the
treadmill
therapy
earlier
episode. But those
watching.
are usually my favorites. They're just so thoughtful, and everything that you're like worried about or thinking about or the characters you're going through come out, and you get to watch them like address them and work through them, and
And not have any
really
like,
like
yeah, like have any repercussions because the therapist, it's like a safe spot,
the
like
safe space.
some,
Yeah, but then
yeah,
you get to watch them go out into the real world and deal with it. And
uh,
I just think they're always written so well too. So yeah, I think those are my favorites.
yeah, I think that was my favorite. And then the finale with Whitney telling Ola was
Oh yeah, the
just,
finale. The
yeah.
finale is fun. The bachelorette party was really fun to film
With
too, with the
Hope, oh my
toilet paper dress that I got to wear, and playing drunk is always fun, you know.
God. And then season 2, what was your reaction with the renewal and getting to work with everyone again? And
I mean, we were ready to go the minute we started filming. We were like, when do we
nice.
get to come back? It took way too long. So when we finally got to get going, we were just like, finally, let's go. Now we're like, we're ready to go back. Hurry up.
Period. I hope so.
But it's not on us, you know, it's the network and the industry's crazy right now. But season 2, we were so excited to be back, and Lionsgate built a new studio that we got to film in season 2, which was cool. We obviously still filmed all over Harlem and all over New York. But yeah, it was just like coming back to hang out with old friends at summer camp, honestly, from the cast to the crew. Like we just love each other. So it was great.
Any crazy like New York stories filming with just
Excuse me.
New York
New
people?
York. I mean, there were, I think in episode 3 where I see Ola on my doorstep and Matthew doesn't know I still have my apartment,
Ah,
and he finds out there because Ola's like, this is Sondi's place.
mm,
Um, there was a fight going on through the window. This guy was being really intense, screaming up at his girlfriend, I guess. Maybe it was his wife. I don't know. But they had to
ah,
call the police, and we had to stop filming for 2 hours.
oh, shit.
It's Harlem. Like
Yeah.
it was like 1 a.m. in the morning. He was probably drunk. But he was really mad that we were trying to get him to stop yelling. And he was like,
No.
didn't give a shit that there were
Oh,
100 people on the street, literally right next to him filming a TV show. He did not care.
maybe it was like another Whitney and Ola situation.
But like much
Oh,
more
sure.
intense.
Yeah.
They handled theirs very classy, and this was not
Oh,
that.
shit. Whitney.
Yeah.
And then season 2 kind of started off with that little fake out wedding scene with Ola, and
Hmm.
I feel like maybe I don't know if that's gonna come back, or was that like a little foreshadow, or I don't know if that's gonna
I
ah
mean, I can't give anything away.
I know, but
It's not over yet.
I know, but I feel like that's gonna her nightmare sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Amari's mom coming back into the picture and kind of throwing a wrench, and what was that? Or any challenges for that? Or for Sondi, like going through obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just like expedited whatever feelings she might have been pushing down. They kind of had to come to the surface. I think, you kind of end season 1 and she's feeling taken for granted in her relationship, in the context that she's having to make a lot of sacrifices to, accommodate Matthew and combine work and her private life, her personal relationship, and also, playing very much like a mom to Amari, whose mom at the time was away. You find out season 2 that she's an act serving in the military, and is come back. But I think the flip side is that she's now just getting comfortable in this mothering role with her, and now it's getting taken away from her, and now she has to deal with like another parent. So it's tough. And I think she's also, aside from that, deciding whether or not, without Amari there, is like Matthew really the guy that she wants. Does she really feel like they're on the same page? he's kind of just coasting into retirement essentially. Like he gets tenure and she's like trying to figure out where she wants to go next. Like, does she want to stay in academia? Is there somewhere else she can go? And so I just think Naomi's arrival, is the and Mari's real mom's arrival just helps it all sort of accelerate and move faster in terms of the decision that she wants to make about where she wants to go.
Oh my God. Yeah, like even like when at the bachelorette party when she was answering the video calls and reading her the like to get her to go to bed with, and then like the mom coming back, and it's like a really big shift. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love the debate from episode 3 from
Oh, thank
with
you.
you,
Yeah.
and that was a good with the critical race theory, and that was a
Hmm.
good, really good scene with you and Matthew, and you guys winning finally, the students winning.
Yes. Yes.
And then we could talk about the new episode really quick.
Okay.
You said it was your favorite of the season, and
Hmm.
I almost fell off the treadmill earlier watching it, so you're lucky I didn't. No.
Almost fell off the treadmill. No, don't
Oh
fall off
my
the treadmill.
God.
Why did you almost fall off the treadmill?
What do you with what's happening, and
Oh
the
yeah.
the celebration with him getting 10 year and what he does, the spoilers, and yeah, like
I know.
you're
Do you want
walk
me to talk about it? Talk about it. I mean, it is out now, but it is a
yeah, put
spoiler.
we
I
can
mean,
put a little spoiler, yeah. Warning, yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think, she gets proposed to, and like we were just talking about,
Uh,
it's preceded by her dealing with all of her feelings in therapy. And it's like, what do you really want? Is this what you really want? And proposals have a way of, accelerating things even more. It's like you have to make a hard decision. She captured her apartment. Mari's mom is back. He now knows about the apartment. Like, I just feel like there have been all of these little seeds that have been, she's kind of been like burying in the ground that she's not talking about, that, and things that she's just pushing down. And I don't think she's as happy as she thinks she is. And it's been interesting to watch people's, I mean, I love looking at Twitter because I love hearing people sort of like react. Because like, that's really the only way you get the reactions. It's not like theater. You got to go looking for it. And um it's interesting. The team's kind of split. Some people are like, what are you doing? And some people are like, yes. You know, I felt like it was the right move. I think people oftentimes too in their 30s feel like they're supposed to have everything figured out. And on paper, like maybe it looks like a super great thing, but she's obviously not 100% happy. And I just like that she doesn't settle. Like people are saying like, well, it's hard out there. And it's like, but that's why people end up settling, because they get that mindset of like, what are you doing? It's really hard out there. And he's like a good catch. And it's like, if you're not happy, you're not happy.
right, it's gonna come
So
out sooner or later. Like it's eventually gonna come out. Like
yeah. And
be
it's never,
worse.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's no point in settling if it's not 100% what you want. And she's not, you know, over the hill. Like she's young, she's ambitious, she's clearly wanting to go in a new direction. And I love it. I love the decision she makes. And it was really fun
Ah,
to play because it was so messy and real. And yeah, there's so much going on in this episode. I had so much fun with it.
and then the SOS and all of you guys on the bed and talking her through it, and then her going back to Matthew at the end, and he's like, "I or some you didn't come to say yes," or oh
Yeah,
my
it's pretty
God.
heartbreaking. But
Uh,
I actually the way it picks up in the next episode is really nice too. It's a fun surprise. I'm not going to spoil that, but it definitely picks up in an interesting place in the next episode. But I
I
think the
won't
way
be
it
on the treadmill for
unfolds is, yeah, don't be on the treadmill. No, no, it's not. I don't think it's gonna make you fall off the treadmill, but
that.
um I mean, Rochelle and the whole team did a really great job writing it. So what can I say? We definitely had some discussions about how this moment was going to play out, and there were definitely a couple things that got thrown around that were more dramatic, if you could imagine, than that, which I was on board for, but I think I was like the
Can you
network was
say
like,
what?
that's too much.
Gosh,
But I really love where it landed, and I think it was executed really, really well.
can you say what another option or another what one of the dramatic things are, or is
No,
it okay?
I don't want to, I don't want
Ah,
to put it out there.
darn it.
I don't want to put it out there, but just imagine what happened times like two or three. It would have
Oh,
been a lot. It would have been like soap opera-esque, maybe.
kind of little. Is there another 8 episode season, or is it a longer one, or this season 2? Is it
Oh, it's 8 episodes.
eight
Yeah, it's
episodes?
eight
Oh, we're
episodes.
halfway
It's
through already. Damn.
oh, I know.
Damn it. Damn. Yeah, I got
I
caught.
know.
I was like, I gotta slow this treadmill down or show up in a neck thing like for the interview. Oh my God. And then, of course, I wanted to talk to you about a little show called How to Get Away with Murder really quick.
Yeah.
I was wondering, were you a fan of the show before you got on or auditioned, or did you know about it, or did you get
Oh,
caught
yeah.
up after you?
No, I was a huge fan of the show, and I mean, I know it was Pete Nowak's show, but I also like affiliated it with Shonda in my head. So anything she does, I watch. I just finished watching Queen Charlotte, and um, oh my God, it was so incredible. But no, I was very familiar with the show, and was a huge fan, and obviously just like a huge fan of Viola Davis.
Sure.
Um, I remember when I got the part, I had to come to do a test for hair, and I was like, "Is it okay if I just go watch for a little bit?" And I just remember I walked into the studio, and Viola was sort of standing in the corner in the shadows doing something with her lines, and I was just kind of like,
Love
just
that.
watching her in awe, like I can't believe I get to be around her and breathe the same air. Um, so yeah, no,
Ah,
it was a it was a really big moment for me.
got to get Viola on Run the World.
I would die. I would die. That would be amazing.
We'll tweet it.
We haven't met my mother yet. I mean,
Oh,
just
true.
saying.
Yeah, we met Whitney, and yeah. Okay, I'll start it after the interview.
Yeah,
Retweet.
I love it.
And then did you know going in, like Maggie being a nurse, and or did they really tell you anything about your character or how long you were going to be on for or anything like that?
No, so I was only guaranteed like 2 episodes.
Mm.
And then they just kept asking me back, which was 2 episodes turned into 13, which was
Sure.
amazing. And it was my first big TV job in LA. So it was I was like, I can't believe I'm still here. I can't believe I keep coming back. And they kept writing more and more interesting stuff for me. And I
Mhm.
was like, this is amazing. It was also wild because it was my first time. And I mean, the way that Pete works, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times, is, you don't know what's coming and he doesn't tell you. And it can change
The day up,
the
yeah,
day
the
of.
shoot.
Yeah. But I don't mind that. I think that bothers some people. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I'm also a very quick study, just because I'm from theater, and me learning 4 pages is like,
Okay.
and you like
That's all you
animating
got.
cut. Like, I mean, it wasn't a big deal to me. I think it made some people very irritated, maybe, but I didn't mind it at all. I was kind of like, ooh, what are we in for today?
Give me more pages.
Well, yeah, and also like Rochelle Williams, our showrunner, would similarly do that. If she felt in a
Hmm.
moment like this isn't right, I mean, and sometimes I would ask her to do it because I was like, you know what, the scene and she'd like, give me a second. She would like rewrite the scene, and then I would just do whatever she just wrote. So it works for me, and I thought it was fun. It was a fun adventure. But it's also just like good. It's good training to have to be able to be flexible like that. And it
Yeah.
works for the mystery of the show because it's just like life. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next. I
Ah,
think if you have script for too long, it's easy to get it's easy to like play the ending if you're not careful, you know? So it's just fun. I think it actually lends itself well to the mystery of that show to not know what's coming next.
And you had like the biggest mystery of the biggest mystery of this show, and all like under the sheet and the fire and killing off Wes. And did you know, or did you ever think Meggy was going to get involved with the group, or were you hoping for any of that, or
Well, I can say this now, it's been such a long time. I actually, Viola asked me
uh,
when we were shooting if I wanted to be responsible for the fire, if that was something I would be interested in. And I remember
oh
it
shit.
was like, I want people to like me.
Right. There's enough
I was like,
evil.
I don't want to I don't want to leave. But honestly, I wish that I had said yes because I think that could have been a really cool
Going.
spin. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, and now every time somebody asks me what I want to do next, I'm like, I want to play a villain because I just think they're the most interesting characters. Um,
Ah.
but yeah, I remember when she asked me that and I thought about it for like a minute and then I was like, but if I'm the fire lady, then I don't get to be here anymore.
They'll
But
get to, oh, you
honestly, that's not necessarily what it would have meant, frankly. But it was my first TV gig. I didn't know what I 100%.
maybe like a because breaks up with Maggie for Laurel, probably started the fire, maybe for or
I don't
something.
know. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just thinking I wanted people to like me.
Yeah, there's enough evil people in the show. We need like a good.
Yeah, it was interesting because I remember fans would always be like, "Oh, she's such a breath of fresh air," because everyone's so um, messy on that show, and
Yeah, I feel like people had their suspicions for Maggie, but yeah, I'm glad she was
a good egg.
a good soul, a good egg in the murder bunch. Oh my God. And then
Oh,
one of my favorite endings is 304 with Laurel being revealed as the second person in the fire, and then Maggie coming in and, oh, I know her, and
yeah.
she's pregnant. And that, I just wanted to say that was, I love that scene with you coming or yeah, I just really love that, the music, and it's
Yeah.
so intense. And ah, Dr. Lowell's
Such
not
a good show.
ah.
I know. It's such a good show.
And then you mainly had scenes with Alfred and Carla. I was wondering if you could talk about working with them mostly, and meeting everyone else. I'm sure you.
Yeah, I mean, for it again being my first like set in LA, um, it was like a dream. Everyone was so wonderful and Alfie, I mean, Alfie is just the best. He's
Yeah.
just the best and he's so great to work with and um, you know, just talk. We would have great conversations about like character and like, you
Mm,
know, going deep into like backstory and stuff like that. I mean, he's just such an actor, he's a theater actor, so he
yeah.
loves that kind of stuff. But he was also just so fun to be around and Carla too. And they were all just so welcoming and wonderful. And, walking into a cast where it was very already super established and they all were already so close. And um, I just felt very lucky to be there and that everyone was so kind um, and welcoming.
And then being a fan of the show before you were on it, what was your reaction to the mystery and the fire and everything, and Wes dying and ah,
I mean, I feel like with murder mystery shows, someone always dies, but we didn't know. I mean, we didn't know who they were going to kill. It was just, remember came on the set and it was like my second or third episode. They were like, "Oh yeah, just so you know, someone's died this season. That's all we know." And I remember them all speculating about, we would all speculate about who we thought it was going to be. And when we did the table read for that episode, and we all found out, I remember it was just like because they did table reads for every episode, and we all found out, and we were just kind of looking around each other like, "Oh my
oh,
god." um,
ah,
but we knew someone big was going to go. I think I remember Pete told, I wasn't a series regular, so I wasn't privy to those sort of conversations, but he did tell them that one of them was going to go. So we knew it was going to be like a significant character. Um,
Uh,
of course, it was shocking, and you know,
and the way they revealed it was different, like a survivor every week leading up, and then they did the whole fake out thing with showing Wes in an earlier part of that day before and tricked everybody, and it was dirty. ah,
dirty
it
tricks.
was dirty. Yeah, I'm still not. Oh God. And then I think one of the most emotional scenes is obviously everyone finding out, but specifically your scene with Carla or Laurel in the hospital with the TV and just what happened. You were like just amazing acting and one of the most emotional. You really delivered it with damn.
Thank
Do you have any tricks to get to that emotional parts for filming, or is it just like
um tricks? No, I don't have any tricks. I it takes I couldn't even explain to you really how I get there. It's kind of
wow?
complicated, but I definitely use like Adler, just if you're familiar with that technique,
Mm.
Stella Adler techniques. That's kind of the foundation of what I use, but it's you know, I've been doing
Ah,
this for a long
I,
time. And I have my methods, but it's hard to put into words.
yeah, that was it. Looked really real or drawn from real emotion. Like, yeah. Ah. And then, did you ever think Maggie would hopefully come back in a season 4 with Laurel being in kind of like a hospital still, or do you? I feel like they could have really like
They could
brought her.
have, yeah. I was interesting because everyone was talking about it, like, oh my God, are you replacing Wes? Like, are you going to come back? And I definitely thought it was possible. I did end up
Transfer to law school.
I did end up like booking a series called Valor right after that um show, so I wasn't available, but they also never asked. So, but it was definitely a topic of discussion that I remember we were all like, oh my God, I wonder, like that could easily happen. And I of course hoped because I loved playing Meggy and I loved being on that show, but such is TV.
Yeah, yeah, like it was like kind of like a perfect setup with Laurel being in the hospital and the baby, and I feel like Maggie could have kind of got not like kill anybody, but get kind of entangled like
Yeah,
with the hospital stuff part of it maybe, or
totally.
but Laurel
Totally.
was kind of mean to Maggie, so maybe she wouldn't have helped her with anything maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then did you have anything from set that you took or any
They gave me my director's chair, the back of
oh
my chair, so
the
I have
cool
it. I have the Meggy back.
damn.
I need to get that framed actually.
Yeah, that'd be good. I have to send you a picture if my bookshelf or all my stuff I have if it's a lot.
Oh yeah, I can see you've got a lot of
Oh,
memorabilia back
ah,
there.
couple tattoos and oh god, it's all over. And then what did you think of the ending for if you watched all of it after the series and the finale and everything?
Big Gates was, true to Pete's sort of past of just like surprising the hell out of everyone. I was very satisfied. Did you like it? You
Yeah,
would
I was
you're more of the analyst than I
uh,
am.
I wish it was or I don't think I was ever gonna be ready for it to end, but I wish it was just like maybe like an hour and a half or like
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
things added with some people that didn't make it or a couple. But yeah, I was satisfied with I don't watch the episode a lot, but I'm sad. It's too
Yeah.
sad.
Well,
But
the
yeah.
good news is there's so many other ones that, you can go
Oh
back
yeah, I
and
rewatch all of I yeah, but I don't never go back to the series finale a lot. Oh man. And then any other projects coming up besides the second half of Run the World or anything else you can tease coming up?
not right now. I'm writing and I want to direct. I'm really hoping like if we get
Oh,
a season 3, maybe they'll let me. I did shadow on um the show. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
set myself up for that. And I've directed before. I've directed a short that I wrote. Um, and yeah, just trying to find the next thing. It's a crazy time right now. There's not a ton going on. Lots
Oh, the
most
strike.
everything
Yeah.
is shut
Ah.
down, but
Yeah.
even the things that are supposed to be
Sure.
filming are not filming. So it's a crazy time. I'm just, riding the wave of our show coming out, and we're going to Essence Fest next weekend, or the
Oh,
weekend after next, which will be fun. So
yeah.
yeah.
That'd be fun. Is there any teases for episode 5 at all, or not the beginning, but or
Oh, we leave town. I can tell you that. We leave town
oh,
together. We go out of town
away
for
from everyone.
a pretty big event. So that's all I can really say. I don't want to ruin too much.
Okay, I'll be on the treadmill.
Yeah.
You- Oh man, but thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate scheduling with me, and I'm glad we made it today so we could talk about episode 4 and that ending and proposal, and yeah, I really appreciate it, and for being a part of my favorite show and coming on my podcast.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you and meeting you.
Thank you. Oh my God, you mentioned Queen Charlotte, but my guest next week is Tom Verica
Oh,
from
good.
Sam Keating
That's
and
awesome. Yeah, he's
Bridgerton and
huge fan.
Scandal. And
Huge fan of his. And
yeah, I'm
he's
really excited
directing
too.
so much. He directed a bunch of Queen Charlotte, right? Didn't he do like
Yeah,
two
I
episodes?
think yeah, I think he did maybe more than I think. Yeah, and Bridgerton. Did he do Bridgerton too? I think a
I'm
couple.
not sure, but I know
And
he's
Scandal and
directing a lot.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited too. Yeah.
that's awesome. We'll enjoy that combo.
Thank you. Make sure you tune in and watch.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. Check that.
Oh, thank you.
When is this coming out?
Hopefully I'll get it Sunday. Up Sunday.
Oh, this Sunday.
Yeah, I'll edit it. I gotta work tonight, but I'll get it up Sunday probably. Yeah.
Cool. Can't wait to see it.
I have to plan or I'm planning a surprise birthday for my boyfriend tomorrow, so I couldn't get it
Nice.
up tomorrow, but yeah, it's busy. Ah, but yeah, I appreciate it so much, and I can't wait to watch the second half of Run the World.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Have a lovely Friday. Happy Friday. Happy
Friday,
weekend.
yes, thank you.